What's up, everybody? I just want to start off by thanking James and Cuervo from Junkyard Fox for this video idea. Over the years, they've been major advocates for Victorinox Swiss Army knives in favor of those over plier-based multi-tools like Leatherman, Gerber, and SOG, to name a few. Now, this has encouraged me to give Victorinox another try after about a 20-year hiatus. I haven't used one of these things in about 20 years. I was a little kid back then, and a Swiss Army knife was pretty standard for everybody to use, but at some point, I guess working on ATVs and small engines, I started to favor pliers-based multi-tools, in particular Leatherman. For my introduction back into Swiss Army knives, I decided to go with the Victorinox Forester. Mostly because it was only like $36, which I found to be a pretty good deal considering all the tools on this thing. Now, I'll go through them really quickly, but most of you probably already know what's on the Victorinox Forester. This is the M-grip model, so you're gonna miss out on tweezers and a toothpick. Frankly, I find the toothpick kind of gross. I understand that you can replace the toothpick with other things like a ferro rod and stuff, but I decided to just go with this M-grip, knowing that I wasn't going to use the toothpick anyway. Tweezers would have been nice to have on this, but I do have a first aid medical kit on me or near me at all times. So anyway, first thing is this one-handed opening knife. Now, that's important to me. I know there are other Victorinox models, like the standard Forester, this is the one-handed opening, that don't have that thumb hole. That's not necessarily a deal breaker for me, but it would be kind of annoying. I do like to open my knife blade one-handed. Now, one thing I don't like on here in particular is the corkscrew. I did my best, and you'll see some footage overlaid, hopefully, in this, to use the corkscrew. Now, I know that you can add things like micro screwdrivers inside of there, or ferrocerium rods in the corkscrew, but I did want to show you this thing completely stock. I didn't want to add a bunch of gizmos and gadgets because, again, the selling point for the Victorinox Forester for me personally was that cheap price tag. They start adding a bunch of stuff on this thing, and before you know it, you end up in the $60, $70 range, and I might as well just buy something else at that point. So anyway, after that little rant, we do have that plain edge knife, one-handed opening, liner lock. We have that corkscrew, not one-handed opening. We have an awl, which, excuse the language, but is a son of a bitch to get out. There's the awl. I'll be honest with you guys, I don't really utilize awls very much. I don't utilize them all that much. But we have it. No eyelet, though. If you're planning on doing some sewing, you're going to miss out on that eyelet and the awl. Not sure why they omitted that from this model. We have flathead screwdriver, we have a bottle opener, and we have a wire stripper. I find it kind of odd. Now, I know a lot of you might disagree with me, but I find it kind of odd to have a wire stripper without a crimper. Just kind of odd to me. But regardless, that screwdriver does have a lock at the 90 position and all the way at the 180. All right. Oh, this that flathead screwdriver bottle opener combo can also be used as a chisel or a pry bar. I know Junkyard Fox James, he actually sharpened an edge on this tool, on that flathead, to strike his ferrocerium rod. You'll see how I chose to strike a ferro rod in the video. I chose to use the saw. We'll get to that in a second. Here's your can opener. Victorinox has some of the best multi-tool can openers in the world. At least that's what I've been told. They seem to be pretty good. At the very end, there's a small flathead that you can also use to undo like Phillips screws too. I hopefully will show you that in the video. It is not the best. I would rather have a dedicated Phillips, and the Trekker model, which, spoiler alert, I bought one of those, has a Phillips head screwdriver 3D printed right here. Not 3D printed. It has a 3D Phillips screwdriver instead of the corkscrew. All right, what else do we have? We have that saw. Now the saw, the biggest issue I see with the saw is that it does not lock. And that is why James from Junkyard Fox chooses not to use the saw to strike a ferro rod because it has collapsed on him and cut him. I just placed it face down and used the ferro rod in this fashion, and it was totally fine. Not the best, but definitely not the worst. I just don't have much use for saws. I understand the point of the saw on the multi-tool is not to necessarily go around sawing down trees. It's mostly for notches and making traps and stuff like that. But spoiler alert, I'm not out there making a bunch of traps, and I'm not going to pretend like I am. I did that in my early 20s. I went outside. I was really inspired by Bear Grylls and Les Stroud and people like that, and Cody Lundeen. And I was out there making traps. I tried my hand in a figure 4 trap. I tried some snares and stuff like that, but I'm just simply not doing that anymore. I am taking a trapping class though next year in February, but that's going to be fur trapping and stuff like that. That's not necessarily like primitive trapping. Let's see, what else does this thing have? You do get, you know, a key ring, which is cool, or a lanyard ring. Sorry about that, not key ring, a lanyard ring, which, you know, honestly probably wouldn't be a bad thing on this since it just kind of flops around in your pocket, which is another downside. I'm used to having pocket clips on my multi-tools. There's no pocket clip on this, so you're either going to rock it in a belt sheath or you're just going to throw it in a pack or let it bounce around in your pocket. Having a lanyard on there really would help to get it out of the pocket. I will say that this is oddly left-handed friendly and not right-handed friendly because of the way that the liner lock disengages. I do have a major complaint about my one-handed trekker. I don't know if I want to get into it too much in this video because I want to focus on the value that you get with the Forester over the trekker. I'll go ahead and say it. My trekker, my one-handed trekker, the blade, the timing on the blade is kind of messed up. I might overlay some footage of that as well. The tang of the blade is not hitting the blade stop in time to prevent the blade from contacting the brass pins that are inside of the handles. So my one-handed trekker unfortunately has chips in it from contacting the blades, well, it's not the blade stop, contacting a brass pin instead of the blade stop. So that is one QC issue I have seen in Victorinox, and that is a very small sample. That is just 2 separate Swiss Army knives. The Forester came out immaculate.
I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
I am extremely impressed with the quality and craftsmanship of the Victorinox Forester, the M-grip model in particular. I am not super impressed with my one-handed trekker. And the entire reason of me actually dipping my toe back into Swiss Army knives was because, like I said, of James and Cuervo from Junkyard Fox, and those guys have been rocking the trekker and the one-handed trekker for like 8 years. So I was just really disappointed that my trekker in particular wasn't up to par, up to standards with the Forester. I'm really impressed, thoroughly impressed with the quality and craftsmanship of craftsmanship.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
I am thoroughly impressed with the quality and craftsmanship of this Forester from Victorinox. Alright guys, so in a nutshell, is the Swiss Army knife Victorinox Forester going to replace my pliers-based multi-tools? Specifically, is it going to replace my go-to Leatherman Signal? And the answer is no.
Why isn't it possible?
It's just not.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
It's just not for me. It's not going to replace that. However, there is a use for the Victorinox Forester for me in particular. We're in prime hurricane season right now. And this might sound really specific and kind of silly, but the Forester is pretty ideal for hurricane prep. Now, there are a million uses for having a good edge knife blade that's stainless, high humidity, especially during hurricane season when a hurricane blows through and you have no more air conditioning. Everything in the houses here in Louisiana gets soaking wet.
Nice, very nice. Thanks.
You walk outside, it's either raining or it's just high humidity, and anything you're carrying is going to be wet. So having that stainless steel implement on here is awesome. Corkscrew. I still don't quite know what you do with a corkscrew, but like I said, you can put implements inside the corkscrew like a ferro rod or micro screwdrivers for like sunglasses or eyeglasses. So I'm still struggling with that. Hey, perhaps there are hurricane parties here. It is Louisiana after all. So maybe you do need to pop open a bottle of wine. And if you do, the Forester is good for that. Now, flatheads, you're gonna probably need to get into some electronics. You might need to pry something when the lights go out. Fuses are gonna blow. There's a multitude of reasons why you might need this. Wire strippers, bottle openers, maybe. I don't know very many people who are stocking up on like glass bottled drinks, but again, it's Louisiana, so hey, you might need to pop a top on a brewski. So there you go for that. Can opener will be awesome for hurricane season. If you don't have MREs, and even if you do have MREs, having canned food is a must in Louisiana, especially during hurricane season and in the middle of basically an economic depression right now. Having cheap canned food and being able to open it reliably is a must. Again, at the end of the can opener, this is a multi-use implement. You have that flathead that also triples as a makeshift Phillips. So I do think that there is a place for the Forester. It would just be in probably my hurricane prep. Man, is that a... Get off me. Mud dauber. I'm allergic to wasps, so at first I got kind of nervous, but that was just a mud dauber. So yeah, the Victorinox Forester. High quality, well made, probably the perfect tool for some of you guys out there and gals. It's just not going to be my perfect go-to multi-tool. It's just not. And it's unfair to compare a Swiss Army knife, it's in the name. At the end of the day, this is a knife that has other functions. Unfair to compare that to a pliers-based multi-tool like a Leatherman, a Gerber MP600, or one of the SOG models, like the Power Lock. It's in the name. It's a Swiss Army knife first, and then all the other things. So, with that in mind, I just want to thank James and Cuervo from Junkyard Fox for actually giving me the inspiration to go back and check out Victorinox. Again, super impressed with the quality of the Forester. I'm kind of disappointed in my Trekker. I was really just really hoping to be super impressed with my Victorinox Trekker, the one-handed Trekker, because I see James and Cuervo being super successful out in El Paso, Texas, with their models of Trekkers, and I just wanted mine to be as good as theirs. But, I'm sure that's something Victorinox would be more than happy to fix if I sent it in. But again, that's like a $50 multi-tool. Do I really want to send it away for a warranty just because it's making contact with a brass pin? I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But that's my overview, my first impressions after a 20-year hiatus. I used this for a couple of weeks on some random projects. I even made work just to put this into action. There were some unnecessary things I did just to see how it would react, and pretty impressed. Even with the saw, like I said, I'm not big into saws. I just don't have a lot of use for them, but I was pretty impressed with such a small saw. It really cut through tiny limbs and branches pretty well. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and you guys have a good summer. And if you're in hurricane territory, God bless. Good luck to you. Be safe out there.
Thank you.